Virginia Tech did an outstanding job. I mean, you know, we talked after Sunday's game, we talked for 3 straight days about we were going to get a much better Virginia Tech team today. And we did. You know, there's no question they struggled at our place on Sunday, but they played hard and they played together and they made shots, they made big plays today. And again, I think that's a credit to their team, their coaching staff. You know, I think that's a credit to the people on that bench that they played extremely hard and they got rolling and we couldn't get them under control there for a while. So I'm really happy with our offensive effort, 80, and you know we shot the heck out of it. But you know the other side of the floor had a little issue there for a while. But the thing I told the team after the game, the thing I was very happy about was we never really freaked out. You know, I mean they made some runs and made some shots. You know, we didn't lose our minds. We just kind of kept playing. And, you know, at this time of year, that's really important. You know, teams, the sense of urgency is magnified. And, you know, oh, if we don't win, we have to go home and all that. You know, people tend to lose their minds a little bit. And this crew didn't. You know, they did a really good job of staying composed and just playing.
Questions? Start with Mike.
Mike Potter, currently working for the Winston-Salem Journal. As for Lacavia, you came out really aggressive offensively early in the game. What was leading to that?
Just wanted to be aggressive. My coaches always tell me, look to score, be aggressive, take advantage of whatever the defense give you, and just lucky enough to knock down some open shots.
David.
And then Chelsea, it seemed like you kind of picked up for her in the second half. I think you scored 18 or something like that in the second. I mean, what was kind of your mindset coming out of halftime and going into the second half?
In the first half, I mean, really couldn't get any shots to fall for me, but my teammates kept giving me the ball in good spots, and I was finally able to knock down a couple shots second half.
Right here in front.
You were up by 1 at the half, and then it seemed like when you came out of to the second half, you made a conscious effort to take the ball inside. I think you got to the free throw line 4 times in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Was that a conscious effort, or was that just kind of how it broke down?
Well, we talked at halftime about being really aggressive, playing downhill, trying to get to the rim. You know, I felt like there were stretches in the first half where when we were in transition, we were really good. When we were half court, you know, we kind of got stuck behind that glass wall that goes up around the three-point line that nobody can see, you know. And so at halftime we talked about, you know, being aggressive and playing downhill and getting the ball to the rim. And I thought they did a really good job of that. You know, that was one of the things we wanted to do was be a little more aggressive and get to the front of the rim a little bit more often when we weren't in transition, when we were half court.
Mike?
This is for both players. What Coach was referencing earlier, you just beat Virginia Tech really easily and then come back and play them in the first round of the tournament. I know many examples where that happens in a conference, the last game of the season, and then they play in the tournament and it squeezes together. What did Virginia Tech do so much better tonight, and how did you all combat that?
Well, tonight they knocked down some shots. They had the same looks against us in Winston-Salem. We were just fortunate enough that they didn't go in, but tonight they hit those shots that they missed Sunday. So it made it a better ball game.
David?
For Coach Petersen, it seemed like your guys' press kind of affected them a little bit more in the second half than it did in the first. Was it something you guys were doing better, or was it them getting tired? What was kind of the mixture there?
Probably some of both. You know, I mean, we wanted to be a little bit more aggressive toward the half court line. Talked about that during the timeout, getting up and getting a little more pressure up front. We talked about at one point rotating that top guard a little bit harder once the trap was on. And that was part of it. And, you know, one of the strengths of our team is we're pretty deep, you know, and so it's both a micro and a macro thing. You know, micro, inside the game, our legs should be fresher because we're spinning 10 kids out there. You know, macro, you think about the difference between these two and, say, Wilson and Fenine. Okay, these two have averaged 24 minutes a game. Wilson and Fenine are averaging 34. 10 minutes extra a game times 30 games, 300 minutes. Okay, they've played, do the math for me, 7.5 extra games. And over the course of a season, it wears on you a little bit. Okay, so I think it works both ways. You know, in the big picture over the course of a season and in the small picture during a game. our legs are a little fresher because we have good depth and because, you know, kids just come off the bench and play hard and, you know, they come out, they get a drink, and then they go back in and play hard again.
In that same vein, tomorrow you have to turn around and play a top 10 team. They're fresh, obviously. I don't think they played since last weekend. What are you going to do tonight to prepare? And do you think that depth is going to be a problem tomorrow against Miami, or tired legs?
No. Oh, there's two parts to that question. The preparation, I mean, we'll do what we always do. You know, I mean, we'll go back tonight, have dinner, watch a little film. You know, we'll get the ballroom there at the hotel and have a little walkthrough. But frankly, you know, the day before a game, that's all we do anyway, this time of year. You know, I mean, we've had one practice per week pretty much for the last, like, 3 weeks, right? You know, we practice real hard once, then we walk through and play, and then we walk through and play, and then we take a day off, you know. That's kind of basketball this time of year. You know, fresh legs and clear minds, too. You know what I mean? Fresh legs and clear minds are pretty powerful. The worst thing we could do is go over there tonight and watch film and try to make these guys memorize every single play Miami's going to run. You know, get in a stance and guard somebody. Make some open shots and get a rebound. You know, it's just basketball.
Mike?
Kind of a historical asterisk from this game. It's the first time there have been two male coaches going against each other in an ACC tournament. What are your thoughts on that?
It's back to the last answer. It's just ball. I mean, I don't know. My thoughts on that is I think Dennis Wolf's a really good coach. I think he's operated under a very difficult situation this year because of depth and injuries and all that. And I think he's done a great job keeping his team playing hard on March the 1st or whatever the heck this is. You know what I mean? I think he's done a phenomenal, I told him, I told his staff, I think they've done a phenomenal job this year coaching, and their kids have done a phenomenal job in a tough situation. You know what I mean? And so, other than that, I mean, it's ball. I don't care.